Yo, what is up, everybody? John from Tau Tactics here, bringing you another video. Today we're walking through my most recent tournament with Auxiliary Cadre at none other than LVO. This is a tournament that I think I definitely could have done a lot better in. Certainly some learnings, especially from like a positioning perspective, also secondary scoring perspective. So we'll walk through the good, the bad, the ugly, what I could have done better. So hopefully you guys can learn something, take it into your next games moving forward. So. Without further ado, let's hop right into it. So our very first game, no pictures, because I was on War Games Live for round one into World Eaters. So I was playing against the most interesting part of his list was that he had a brick of 20 Khorne Berserkers. So I had to figure out a way to potentially deal with those guys. Also, a bunch of 8-bound and um, couple Forge Fiends, so I had to be a bit respectful of what his damage output looks like from a range perspective. So let's walk through deployment a little bit here. Let's see. There we go. So we got first drop, so we wanted to drop the Pathfinders out because he does have an infiltrating unit in these Goremongers right here. Now, as far as my deployment is concerned, my thought process here with the Skyray is I want to deny primary one turn with the Skyray and move on with my life. He didn't really have a great position to start in, so I kind of just wanted to use him as a body early on to really threaten this area of the table. One thing I really didn't want Michael to do was stage this 20-man into this pocket right here. So thankfully he obliged, but I think the correct position for Michael would have been staging this unit right in this ruin, maybe allowing me to shoot it one time, but if I don't get to shoot it with like 2 or 3 units, I'm not going to be doing an appreciable amount of damage anyways. So I was pretty happy for them to be right here, and I was pretty happy to set up a Skyray as a peace offering gift to Michael. Rest of my deployment is concerned, got the guns on the good angles, this one and this one. This stealth suit, so this is after his scout moves, I believe. He ends up charging these stealth suits and these rampagers, so I think in hindsight I probably could have just left the stealth suits like right here just in case. It did make me wildly uncomfortable that he went for the stealth suits immediately. But even though he was giving away his trade resources, I wanted to have the rampager centralized to ideally get into this pocket, and my thought process the whole game was they need to be the ones connecting with the Berserker brick, so I was protecting them quite aggressively. I have Vespid unit here staged, ready to move out and potentially screen this area of the table. And when we talk about the pivotal moment in the game, which is Rampagers connecting with the the Berserker brick, I also kind of want to discuss some other options that I had there for how to deal with that unit, because I definitely could have approached it a different way. But when I'm playing on a streaming table, my typical thought process is that I basically stop. Um, I basically stop thinking too hard about the game, and I just rely on instinct alone once I get to the streaming table. So that's kind of where my head was at. So let's go into his turn one. Or I guess this is after our. Let's go to my. So here we go. This is after his charge phase. So as you can see, he does charge in the spawn basically everywhere. He does charge these Goremongers onto the midfield objective, as well as the spawn into both my broadside and my rampagers, as well as my stealth suits. Does not pick up any resources, which is really huge for me, and also denies him a lot of no prisoners, because this ends up being a very close game. He leaves one Pathfinder alive, which is really great for me. The reason I really wanted to have one Pathfinder up was because I know that he's going to try to use the sticky strat on any of these things that I'm trying to shoot off of these objectives. The sticky strat is basically when I shoot a unit, he can sticky an objective on death, which effectively means for me, if I want to deny his primary, I have to touch every single objective. So having one little resource, like a throwaway unit that's going to die anyway, be one of the things that touches the objective, works out really well for me. Pretty straightforward turn from Michael, other than he kind of shoved really heavily on with these guys, which I don't think was super necessary, and got a little bit greedy with this unit, not piling all of them into the Pathfinders, killing them. If you play World Eaters, Pathfinders are kind of sketchy to kill, and you really want that unit dead for this exact reason. So if I was playing World Eaters, I would have put as many attacks into him as possible. Cool, so going into my turn, I'm going second, so I know I'm kind of like playing this waiting game of he's giving me a bunch of resources, I can kill him pretty easily, put him on a 5 on primary, and pass the turn back to him. Reason I'm okay with doing this is because the onus is on him to push first, because I have basically a locked in 15 at the end of the game if I do nothing, essentially. So what we want to do here is just pick up his resources, make it really difficult to interact with them, set up to potentially score some primary. With I believe I gave him 2 7-inch charges over here by putting this ghost scale on the objective, which is something I was totally okay with. At the end of the day, like it for me, either I'm getting primary or I'm getting 2 units out of him. And there's a chance that he could just miss the shooting with the rerolls. I feel really happy about just trading the Skyray away right here for some primary. I end up putting the Pathfinder in the middle to deny that, and pick up these resources. I don't get these spawn in this corner here where my head is at, but I'm pretty happy with the outcome and feel pretty good going into this turn. I think looks like I pulled Storm Hostile and Assassinate, which is great for me because I know I'm going to be using a bunch of CP on the Rampagers whenever they do connect with the Khorne Berserkers. So as you can see, our opponent decides to bring these guys out early, which was really great for me. What I ended up doing was like basically I protected the Rampagers with this Crew Carnivore unit in case he somehow pulled like a wild 12-inch charge into a pile and consolidate 6 into the Crute. Now, I didn't know this at the time, but from the index to the codex, there was a change with a specific strat in World Leaders, which is to reroll your Blood God dice. It used to be you get to reroll your Blood God dice after you kill anything in my army. Now it's only monsters or characters, I believe, not vehicles. So I didn't realize this at the time, but there was no possible way for him to get pile in console 6 because he didn't have any eligible targets to kill and then reroll that strat to potentially get a new blood dice roll. So they were definitely way farther out than they needed to be. I could have been a lot closer, I think, with this unit had I known that, but I should have asked the question to my opponent of how those strats works, and I didn't. I just assumed. So that's why it led to me being this far back here. Pretty straightforward turn from him. He gets Tempting and Display of Might. I think he scores both of those, if I remember correctly. Pretty easily scores, or gets Tempting over here, I believe, and Display of Might. I don't really have many units outside my deployment zone, so he was able to score that pretty easily. But one thing we do is we do Rapid Ingress. Unit of Rampagers in this corner over here, and basically my thought process is like, if I can get both units of Rampagers into this unit, it's basically going to be as good as dead, even if I don't kill the whole thing. One thing that I saw you guys point out in chat, which was really cool, which I actually had no idea. I've only read the first part of this rule before. I did not know this, but after Rampagers kill a model, that forces a Battle Shock test, which would have been really impactful here, because if he fails a Battle Shock test, he ends up using 2 really big strats on him. If he fails the Battle Shock test, I most definitely just kill this whole unit from full to dead. But he does get a little bit, well, not lucky. I just forgot my rules, which is totally on me. So as you can see, and let's kind of talk about what I could have done here, which might have made my life a little bit easier. So something that Jack Arpster pointed out throughout the game was there were a couple avenues I could have taken to deal with this Berserker unit. So I didn't realize that it only blood surges into the closest possible unit. It can't blood surge into a bunch of units at one time. I thought he could blood surge into like everything, so I just went the route of, okay, I'm not going to shoot this unit at all. I'm going to just charge it with 2 Rampager units and hopefully hit this 7-inch charge and do as much damage as possible to it. But what I could have done is lined, because he can't pull this character away. Because one janky thing that World Leaders players can do is you can set up and say, okay, like I'm going to put a unit for you to blood surge into right next to this specific guy. Well, he could just pull all of these guys if I kill them and shooting, like pull these 5, and then there's a new next closest target that he can blood surge into. So what I could do to get around that is put Vespid as close as possible, 1.1 inches away from his character, and nothing else within 1.1, so he has to blood surge only into the Vespid, and the only thing he's going to be doing by blood surging into me is making my charge closer, and it also gives me one shooting activation before I actually hit this unit. So ideally, I get to just kill it in one activation. So that was another avenue I could do, is auto advance these Vespid right here, ask him if he would like to charge, get a free shooting activation in, and then charge both Rampagers in. So really, it's a good outcome either way. Either I get a free shooting activation, he doesn't blood surge because he doesn't want to give me a closer charge, which just means I get to kill 4 or 5 Khorne Berserkers, or he blood surges closer to me and I get 2 closer charges and I get the shooting activation in. So definitely would have been a better way to approach the situation. But again, we went second. We're both scoring our secondaries, scoring the same on primary. I'm denying him primary, so all I need to do in my eyes is just pick up the resources that he puts in front of me, move on with my life, and again ask him how he's going to stop my late game scoring and score more points without me scoring as many points as he is. So one other thing that I do is I get behind enemy lines. So and tempting was here, which was actually huge to score tempting. So I put these Vespid back here, and he kind of has too much to deal with to take care of these Vespids, so they do actually play a more important role in this game as far as like point scoring and denial is concerned, which you'll see in a little bit. So we charge in with the Rampagers. We do 8 mortals on 8 guys getting into combat, which is exactly average. Our opponent, we do forget to tell him that he has to take a battle shock test from the first unit killing a model, or first unit of Rampagers charging in, killing a model with their charge mortals, which is supposed to trigger a battle shock test on me. But we end up killing, I want to say 14 from the charge mortals in the first unit activating through the -1 damage. And by the end of combat, he does use 4 CP on this unit, 2 on -1 damage, 2 on interrupt, and he ends up with a character and 2 guys left, and I have 8 Rampagers at the end of it. So most importantly there, I end up denying his primary. I neuter that unit completely, so it's out of the game. And in my eyes, I'm in a pretty good position here moving forward. Now, one thing that I did not have to do was put this Riptide right on the middle field objective. I don't know why I did that. I think part of me wanted to force this Demon Prince out, but there was no real good reason for me to do that, other than to say, like, if some of these guys somehow survive, I'm definitely denying that point, which was kind of my thought process, but again, I think this was a misplay. I should have just put this Riptide like right here, as far back as he could be, to shoot down at these units, which is really what I wanted to do. Clear them off, but also not make it just like a free charge into the middle. Ended up working out okay because the Lone Op Demon Prince wasn't able to be Lone Op, so it was just a clean trade. He traded his Demon Prince for the Riptide, which was okay. But again, I'd say that was a misplay on my part. Just putting that Riptide on the objective for really no reason at all. And then moving on to his turn, he does move up both of his Forge Fiends, which he should have done a lot earlier in the game, in my opinion. He moves up this Exalted 8-Bound to clap one of these Ghost Keels. This guy comes up to clap this Riptide, and then he points all his Forge Fiends at the Rampagers, which they just die really quickly, which is totally fine. They did their job. Denied primary once and solved the biggest problem unit in the game for me. So I'm really, really stoked about that, to be honest with you. He pulls some pretty not great secondaries this turn. If I remember correctly, doesn't score any of them, and so he just kind of passed his turn, kills the resource that I put in front of him. Yeah, and from this point, this is where Michael makes, I think, a pretty big mistake, which is he elects to overwatch this unit of Kroot, which was not a super important unit to overwatch in my opinion. All I was using them for was like a screen and to deny the middle, so really all I needed, and to throw a grenade at the Demon Prince, all I needed was 2 guys to live for this plan to work. But he did elect to overwatch them with the Forge Fiend, which meant that this Vespid unit over here, I could auto-advance 16 and take his home objective, which is a really big deal. From that point, we're basically just playing out the game. I got Sabotage and no Priz. I'm not sure where or if I do Sabotage. I think I do it with a Broadside over here after I kill the Demon Prince. We throw a grenade in the middle to chip down this Demon Prince and make sure it's really dead. We move Shadowsun so that she's within 18 over here and also within 9 of this guy, so she can elect to shoot as well. We basically pass turn here from that point forward. Again, our opponent really hasn't given us too many resources that we can handle, and so I feel like I'm in a pretty good spot to just hop on the midfield objective at the end of the game, score that 10 or 15 on primary, and win it that way. Another pivotal moment for Michael here. So I think he definitely had to take this charge. So he rolled, or he advanced this unit, and he had a 9-inch charge in the Vespid to potentially deny me 5 on primary. He had to do that. I'm not sure why he thought he could get away with just killing these stealth suits, but he absolutely had to go for the 9-inch charge to deny my primary if he wanted a chance at winning this game. I was very surprised he didn't go for it, and in the moment when he was thinking about the 9-inch charge, I was wildly uncomfortable. I was like, please God, don't do this. But he elected not to do the 9-inch charge, which I think was a mistake. I think he should have gone for it. Given the position of the game, the fact that I was scoring extra on primary at the end, I think he had to take 5 points off of the table for me in order to get a chance to win this game. So from here, it's pretty straightforward. He, starts moving his forward screens forward, but I just have too many resources at the end of the game. As you can see, then he does. So he's able to score some secondaries at the end. But my turn 5 comes around. I pick up, I believe, cleanse and recover assets, which I'm able to do with my 3 units that are outside of my deployment zone. I cleanse with a broadside, recover assets with 1 broadside that goes backwards, recover assets with a ghost skill that's forward, step on my home objective, step on this objective, and just call up there because I've already scored enough points to win the game. So, great game to Michael. I didn't realize he was, I didn't realize until I came up to the table that he's on Team Iceland, so really cool to play someone who plays on WTC teams. He was a great opponent, and yeah, that 20-man was really spooky. I was not excited about it when I saw it on the table. So, with that being said, let's move on to round 2. All right, so round 2, we've got James, who's running Nids. James goes first here. This is Supply Drop, which is one of those games which I've noticed more recently for me. Maybe it's because I have a bunch of Scout and Infiltrate. I've really enjoyed going first in a lot of rounds, especially like the take and holds, the linchpins. I've really enjoyed going first, but there are 2 missions in particular I don't want to go first. One of them is this one, Supply Drop. The other one is Purge the Foe. I don't think that the tempo swing I'm going first on either of those is worth the late game scoring swing that happens at the end. So we'll just buzz right through this one. So um, James has a couple Tyrannifexes, an Exocrine. He has a unit of 6 Zone Throws with a Hive Tyrant and a Tyrannifex. So he's got a lot of guns that shoot pretty hard, and he also has a lot of trash. He's got a couple units of the Gargoyles. He has 1 unit of the Advancing Charging. I think they're Hormagaunts or Hormagaunts, I believe. So a little bit annoying for my list to deal with. He matches up pretty well against me. If he can get a shooting advantage, I think he'll be in really good shape. And this unit right here, the 6 Zone Thropes, their blast profile, their D3 shots blast or in Overwatch is really nasty, along with the flamer that the Neurotyrant has. So I'm really aware of giving that Overwatch to Rampagers. I don't want to give that Overwatch because it'll rip through probably like 3 of them on Overwatch, which is really nasty. So James does go first here, and let's see what he does. He just steps some stuff on the objective. He puts a Lictor over there, and then stages on me. Doesn't do anything too crazy. Gets Sabotage with a Lictor or Neurolictor somewhere. Doesn't get Bring It Down, just for a CP. So it goes to my turn. So what I do here is I'm pretty aggressive because I really like taking out lone ops as quickly as I can. So what we do is we put a lone op over here, or excuse me, we put 3 Pathfinders with the special guns to guide and also shoot this way. We get a Ghost Kill on him as well, so we end up taking him out. This over here is a pretty meh plan for scoring my natural expansion. So the reason I spread these guys out like this was because the gargoyles fly. So I want to give him like a puzzle to solve essentially to potentially deny this primary. Really, what he needs to do is just kill some of the Rampagers with this Tyrannifex over here, which is what I think he elects to do. That way, he can open up some space for his gargoyles to actually land when they do their fire and fade. So he does actually, he figures it out, and this is his turn too. So after a long deliberation, he basically said, like, listen, if I don't shove here, or at some point early, I'm going to lose this game because you're going to get a 15 on primary at the end, and there's nothing I can do about it. So he elects to shove his entire army. Now, I think the thought process was correct, but I think the way that he executed it I don't think it really was, personally. I don't think he had to just step all of his guns because as he finds out, he kills this Ghost Kill pretty trivially with this unit. and then all of his other guns that stepped out have nothing else to do. So I would say, like, if you are committing a bunch of resources, make sure that there's a bunch of resources that you can kill, because I think he could have gotten away with quite literally just maybe exposing just this unit and this unit, and he would have killed everything in front of him. Would have killed the Pathfinders, and he would have killed the Ghost Skill, and he still would have had these resources to step out when I try to clap back. So again, I think the thought process was correct, that he has the onus is on him to do something, but the execution wasn't there from James. So then he charges in. I interlocking maneuvers right here to get 4 guys on the point, and I believe scam him some primary here. And also, yeah, I basically just used these guys to scam some primary. If he made too long of a charge, I think he had a 3. I was gonna mess him up with Rampagers and charging in here, killing this whole unit, and then getting onto this midfield objective, being right in his face. But I feel pretty happy about this unit being here, because then I know I can charge this unit first, hold the Overwatch, so he has to hold the Overwatch, and then potentially hit a larger charge to the Rampagers in this way. But thankfully, and this is my movement phase, pick up marked with an tempting target. So what we end up doing is we move out the Pathfinders. He elects to Overwatch them, which I'm really happy about, because I really did not want this unit to get Overwatched. I point all my guns into the Exocrines. There's another Exocrine down here, and I basically prioritize killing those because they're the easiest to kill without an invuln. This guy's actually dead right now. We move up the Vespid, shoot the Hormagaunts with a bunch of bullshit. I think it's a Riptide and just like a bunch of random guns, charge them and kill them. We then kill this Exocrine in the middle, we kill another Exocrine down here, and we charge in the Rampagers and they do a bunch of damage. I think with the 5 Feel No Pain, he survives with 1 Zone Thrope and the character, which is totally fine by me. And again, the Rampagers do their job, stand on objectives, and kill stuff, which is pretty sweet. So from there, he has his second wave where he puts out all of his big boys. They all charge in, but again, we're super ready for this, and we rapid ingress another Rampager unit down here, spend 2 CB, auto advance 6, advance charge in the middle, basically tear up his whole army, and from there it's GG's. Alright, next we've got a game into Brandon. So this was a really fun game. Shout out to Brandon. He ended up going 5-1 at LVO. I think he played this game really, really well, and I thought he had a pretty nasty list. It was basically like 40 jump pack dudes, a bunch of death companies with like the chaplains, so they get rerolls to hit. And I believe like Lance on the charge or lethal hits. So really nasty. They hit really hard. So I made a couple pretty big mistakes in this game. And let me just tell you my thought process starting out. So turn 1 going first on Purge the Foe. I highly recommend you guys to touch all the objectives turn 1 and force a response out from your opponent, because either he's going to send a bunch of resources out to kill all your stuff, and you're going to give up kill 1, which by doing this, you're automatically going to give up at least 1 kill, in my opinion. You're conceding that he's going to get a kill turn 1, but you are exchanging that for tempo turn 2, either in the form of you scoring hold more or getting kill more, because he has to bring out a bunch of units to deny you the hold more. So I think it's a really good strategy to have some units ready to just touch midfield objectives from the jump. And so that's exactly what I did. I didn't really have any targets to shoot at, and I got Sabotage and Secure No Man's Land, so I believe I sabotaged down here with the Ghost Skill, and I touch every single objective, touch one with the Crute, with the Sky Ray, and ask him nicely what he's going to do about it. So, what does he do about it? He charges, I believe this is Mephiston, into the Sky Ray, only does a couple damage, even though he's like Strength 11, AP 3, just rolls a bunch of 1s, doesn't go well. And then in the middle here, our opponent gets Area Denial, and he charges the unit of... these are just scouts into my Crute, and so what I end up doing is to deny the Area Denial, I end up heroicing with the Pathfinder unit. And so he had a Combi Weapon Lieutenant sitting right here, so he actually charged him in as well to try to clear the whole thing. So we end up getting really lucky here. Or not lucky, I think it was just a good play, honestly a good heroic, and something that as someone going first on Purge, you have to like take these opportunities to deny your opponent points when you can. So that's exactly what I did. I heroiced in, and in order to deny the Area Denial, he got a little bit greedy with swinging the combi weapon lieutenant in. So what ends up happening the following turn is, and here's where I made a big mistake. I think this was the biggest mistake of the game for me, and a big learning point was I wasn't checking my threat ranges on these jump back units at all. I should have been a lot more careful, and I got a little bit greedy. And what I did was I fell back to Pathfinders and basically tri-pointed this combi weapon lieutenant so he couldn't move anywhere, and got both of my ghost skills within 12 inches so they could shoot him and kill him immediately. But what I ended up doing was gave him, he could only advance charge with one unit in his army. I gave him a free charge with this unit in this corner. I basically activated this unit from his army. Now, my thought process was, okay, I want to kill this combi weapon lieutenant, so I got to be within 12 of him, and I might as well shove this ghost heal up into this kind of awkward position to push back his rapid ingress. But it really wasn't worth pushing it back an extra 2 inches because he moves 12 anyways, so he can get anywhere pretty trivially. And even if that ghost heal was like all the way in this corner and his rapid was only pushed to like right here, he still would have just rapided like right in this spot anyways. So I wasn't really effectively pushing him back very far anyways. But yeah, as you can see, doesn't go well for me. Does not go well. He ends up charging basically my whole army, which I knew that he was going to have a go turn, and I needed for him to go for a go turn early to have a chance in this game, but I didn't need to give him a good, like this good of a go turn, which ended up being this Skyray, Ghost Keel, 3-man Rampagers, and he tagged a Broadside and a Skyray. So I think this was the reason I lost this game, was because and a couple little mistakes later on when we were getting scrappy, but basically I just let him get too good of a go turn. I gave him too many easy charges. It was like a bunch of 4s and 5s and 3s. You know, they should have been like 6s, 7s, and 8s to give myself a chance for him to miss a charge, and then for me to be in good shape. So I ended up rapiding a Rampager unit here. This unit was here to start the game, kind of as a response. So we'll see how things go from here. So, as you can see, he kills everything. He kills this unit, this Skyray. He kills the Rampagers down here. He kills both Ghost Kills in one shot, like, wasn't even close. He kills, what else? The Pathfinders that were in the middle. And so now I have a nice little puzzle on my hand of how to apply damage. So, what I want to do here is get the Riptide to shoot into the Death Company with -1 damage, because they're really effective defensively. Into Rampagers with access to like things like Armor Contempt. So I want to whittle them down as much as possible, and then charge in ideally and be finishing off characters with the Rampager. So this turn goes pretty well for me. I end up pulling Storm and Engage, I believe, and somehow I don't get Storm Hostile, which is interesting. This unit over here, I just elect to like move block and just say, I can't deal with these guys right now. We're just going to shoot them as much as possible. Now, I think in hindsight, I probably didn't need to move block them. I'm not sure. I probably could have saved the Vespid resource for a little bit longer, I think. But my thought process was, I'm not going to kill these guys. They're just going to exist on this objective, and that's going to have to be what it's going to be. So, as you can tell, we actually have a really amazing clapback turn. We kill everything in front of us. We kill like 15 Death Company, 2 characters, and 10 JPI, I think, is the count at the end of it. But he does rapid ingress the Sandguard unit and another Death Company unit with Fights First over here, which unfortunately is going to be the final blow for us, where we just don't get enough momentum on our opponent. So he charges in. These guys go into the Rampagers. The Sandguard goes into the Riptide. So I made a pretty cool play here, I think, which, you know, when I was looking at it, I thought to myself, okay, if I'm going to win this game, this Riptide's going to need to activate at least one more time, and I don't think that he's going to live to a full Sandguard now that they all have Lance built in. So he made a short charge. I want to say he hit like a 4-inch charge. So what that allowed me to do here was I had a unit of Stealth Suits right here. What I could do was basically sacrifice these Stealth Suits to eat attacks from 4 of these Sandguards. So I ended up rolling a 12 in the charge. So what I was able to do was to base all these guys that weren't touching the Riptide or eligible to fight the Riptide. That meant they could only fight these Stealth Suits. They couldn't pile in because they were already based. So I pulled 4 guys out of combat with the Riptide with the Stealth Suit Heroic. Effectively meaning that he only had 1 Sandguard and Dante to go into the Riptide and Shadowsun, and I believe he had Assassinate, so he put a bunch of attacks into Shadowsun to get her. But I think this was a pretty cool play, and it actually gave me a chance in this game to kind of come back. I'm not sure why this pick is so blurry, but yeah, as you can see, we're playing a scrappy game here. One really crazy thing that happens, and this could have been the swing in the game. So he hits a 9-inch charge with the Calidus out of Deep Strike, and then she only has like 5 attacks. He hit with 4, and then CP rerolled one of the hits, wounded with 5 to kill the whole unit, and pull me off of hold 1, which was super unfortunate. But there's nothing I could do about that. So that was a 4-point swing in primary against me. And then, what else here? He ends up killing these guys in the middle. Yeah, as you can see, this is kind of the end of the game, basically. There's a Broadside and Skyray down here still. The unit of Sandguard. So what I ended up doing is, I think I get Ares Nile. He elected to use a strat on this unit where he had to battle shock himself. So the only unit that was not battle shocked was this unit right here. So I fall the Riptide back to shoot these guys. Oh, whoops. Yeah, so what ends up happening is I fall the Riptide back to shoot this unit. I kill everything but the character with the Riptide just left to activate, and he ends up CP rolling a save, and I don't kill this captain, which would have been a huge swing here, because it would have given me a 5 on Area Denial, and it would have given me an extra kill, meaning that he wouldn't have gotten kill more on the following turn. So the game was super close, but again, if I had one more Ghost Kill alive, or if he missed one of those charges on his go turn, like a 6 or a 7, then I think I would have been in a pretty good spot to clap back and have enough resources going to the end game to get scrappy and win this game. So good game to Brandon. It was a really fun game. He was an awesome opponent, and pretty tough list for Aux, I think, just because of the speed of it all. Now, I was still able to activate my Rampagers, but as you can see, if I didn't offer him those resources, the Rampagers would have gotten hit, and it would have been a pretty spooky match for me. Alrighty, let's go on to round 4. So we have Amelia's Invasion Fleet Nid. So one really interesting thing that happened with both of the Invasion Fleet games that I played is they didn't really use the 5-up Feel No Pain on the big monsters very often, which I was really surprised by. Now maybe it's because this Amelia, she had a couple Norns. There's a Norn here, or I think this is the Norn. This is a Maliceptor. This is a Norn here as well. So I think this is a pretty spooky matchup for Tau, just because of how impactful shadows can be in this game, and also a lot of their stuff is like strength 10, strength 9, so it's pretty effective into most of my tanks, being like T8, T9. So I end up going first here, which is something that I wanted to do. Amelia got first drop and had some redeploys, so she initially dropped a Lictor over here, so I couldn't deploy my Pathfinders over here. So I decided to deploy them along this line right here, just to get a move block, hopefully stop this Norton from getting on the objective. But what ends up happening is she overwatches, which is great, because then it means that I can charge this Tyrannifex that's over here, and ideally hold this objective, stop this Norn from getting on. So we create a big old move block, and we score our tempting target. I think she tempted me over here. We've got a unit of Rampagers ready to go. We've got a Ghost Skill. I also had something happen to me in this game, which it didn't happen to me in this game, but just a mistake that I made, and I think it was kind of like a sign for me that I should probably play a little bit less 40k. Because I think I went to 5 tournaments in 7 weeks, but I actually submitted the wrong war gear on my Ghost Skills. I actually saw someone mention that in chat on Wargames Live. Yeah, that was totally an accident. I put Fusion Collider and Flamer on them. It was just the default setting. So Amelia noticed this during the game and was like, hey, those guys have the Fusion Collider. So for this game, I played with the Fusion Collider Flamer. Then I talked to a judge and was like, hey man, listen, I've never played with this loadout before. Totally an accident. Do you mind if I change this? They were really cool about it. So if you ever have something like that happen, just talk to the judge and be transparent about it. But yeah, they were supposed to be Cyclic Ion Raker, Fusion Blaster, but ended up being Fusion Collider and Flamer for this game, which ended up being pretty funny because I just shot a couple pot shots at this Maliceptor. One of them went through and I did 6 damage to it, so weirdly it ended up working out this game. But again, the move block was the important part here. This is the second time that I reviewed on a tournament, though, a poorly executed move block, so you'll see she ends up shooting enough of these guys away that she can charge this way and pile back onto the objective, which honestly I feel like is a little bit out of my control to only have 1 or 2 guys left, and for them to be able to charge and get on. So what can you do? Would have been nice, but I still think it was worth it to stop this Tyrannifex, make sure that it can't activate, and be able to stage up the rest of my units pretty aggressively here. Cool. This is after my opponent's turn, so she does in fact charge onto this and get onto her objective to deny this primary. She also does get these Hormagaunts into here in the middle, because I stickied the middle. When I went first, I went and stickied the middle. So she was able to advance these guys and string them across to deny both of these points here. And what else do we do? She moves up these Gene Stealers, shoots a Spore Mine in front of Rampagers, so I can't advance and charge. We kind of just move on to turn 2, which we pick up Cleanse and Behind, so we move out. I believe the Rampagers just end up cleansing. Ghostgeel stands here to prepare to charge this Tyrannifex. We just want to keep him in combat as long as possible, so he's just always -1 to hit, is the idea. We clear this trash unit. We clear another resource, and we kind of just pass turn. I think we cleanse with the stealth suits, and we just move on with our lives. Just kind of waiting for... Oh yeah, and then we do line up every gun that we have to kill this Tyrannifex, and I believe it takes a while. It was not an easy kill. It took many shots to kill this Tyrannifex. We shoot some more shots in the Maliceptor, still get more damage into it somehow, so it's only down to 2 without us barely trying to kill that Maliceptor, which is pretty huge. So I think Amelia is feeling the heat here from the boys. So let's see what happens. So she ends up pushing pretty aggressively over here. She gets a Maliceptor, just advances it up the table, charges in a unit of Genestealers and a Lictor into the Ghostgeel, which we end up moving over here in our turn to deny this objective. We move these Rampagers out because they have like literally no job at all right now because she hasn't put anything on the middle. So we just move them out as kind of a distraction Carnifex and to charge these guys, which I do believe we end up killing and shooting, which is totally fine by me. I didn't really want to give a good charge to this Norn because this is its objective thing. Steps this Excrement out to get some shots downtown. Doesn't do a ton of damage, and yeah, we're in pretty good shape from here. So we end up, again, picking up everything in front of us, minus this Lictor. The Maliceptor we don't really target at all, but we end up picking up, I believe, the Tyrannifex, and we have Rampagers down here. This is where I thought I lost the game, I believe. This is turn 3. Yeah, I thought I lost the game because I didn't get Defend Stronghold. I didn't get Defend Stronghold? Weird. I don't remember why I didn't score that. I should have scored Defend Stronghold that turn. Oh, I guess it happened in turn 4. I had Assassinate behind enemy lines. Yeah, so I charge a 6-man Rampager unit into the Hyperadaptive Raveners with the character. She spends the 5-up Feel No Pain, and the character lives on 1 wound, so we don't get Assassinated that way, and I really thought that was going to be GG's from there. I just wasn't scoring enough points. Our opponent does Shadow in the Warp here to try to score points on her turn, I believe, because she has a 1 wound. Whoops. The 1 wound character on the objective over here, and this Lictor over here, so if I fail these 2 Battle Shocks specifically and this Battle Shock, then she'll get a 13, so I believe I fail with the Rampagers, and she does get 8 points on primary there. Now in her turn, she's just staging up, nothing too crazy happens. Now we basically step everything out onto the objectives. She steps some stuff out, we kill the Maliceptor with the Rampagers, and we basically table her entire army except for this Norn. Whoops. This Norn right here, because these Rampagers, they end up going this way and charging onto her home, which she can't get back to with anything. So the max that she could score, even if the Hive Tyrant lives, is 6 points on primary. She can't really score any secondaries because she only has 1 unit or 2 units left on the table. So yeah, from there, it's pretty easy game. GG's. GG's, Amelia. All right, awesome. Game 5, this isn't a Madge. So Madge is one of my brother's good friends, actually, from the Bay Area. Really good Sisters player. So let's talk about the most pivotal point in the game is happened turn 1. So what Madge did is he has a unit of Sanctifiers, I believe they're called. They're the kill team unit from Sisters in this Rhino. It has a scout move. So it scouts up and moves 12 inches, disembarks the unit here. Oh no, just moves them out of the transport. Doesn't move the transport. Moves them out of the transport so they can still charge. This unit has like 6 flamers. 2 of them are 612. Yeah, 2 of them are at 612, which is pretty crazy. They end up killing both the carnivores and a unit of stealth suits and kill some of Vespid. But what ends up happening here, which is like I think blew the game completely open. Madge and I talked about it after the game, but he actually opened up a heroic with the Rampagers. So I spent a CP to heroic here. I end up getting the Rampagers right to like this spot, like here, and on the charge mortals, I kill like one, I think. I'm able to pile in behind the wall. I roll. I remembered to roll my 5-up, get a CP back with Shadowsun. I got the CP back, so then I could interlocking maneuvers at the end of the turn. So you're with me. So I heroic this way. I basically go 10 inches straight because I roll a 7 on the heroic plus 3. Then I get to interlocking maneuvers 7 inches. So I'm like right here, his turn 1, at the end of his turn, right next to the Sacrosanct Brick. So I know that my only real answer to the Sacrosanct Bricks is the Rampager, so I get a free connection on Sacrosanct Brick turn 1. He also has to expose some of Morven Val's unit down this way and down this way, potentially give me shots down there because of how big it is. So I'm both able to take a couple pot shots at the Morven Val unit and kill a Sacrosanct unit for free, which is crazy. So as you can see, this is where they ended up after the interlocking maneuvers. And this is the Sacrosanct unit just sitting on the objective. This is Morven Val hanging out in the middle of nowhere. What I did here was I centralized this Riptide to be able to respond either way to these the suits, just because I'm flat 4 damage, so I know that this is like a pretty integral unit to this to answering the Volgons, which are can just take over the game. We ended up pulling Tempting and Storm Hostile. I don't know how we didn't get that. Oh no, that's our opponent. We ended up pulling Cleanse, which you just do for 2 over here, I believe. Whoops. Yeah, I think we just end up doing it for 2 with Stealth Suits. We elect to just put something on this objective, not kill this Canoness, because she gives D3 plus 1 Miracle Dice back when she dies, and you can just revive her. So I just elected to just put trash on this objective for a couple turns, as opposed to giving him the D3 Miracle Dice, because I knew after this turn he was probably going to have a go turn, so I don't want him to have just like a bunch of 6s to pass saves and 4-up invulns for Morven Val's unit, so I just elected to leave it be for now. And as you can see, this is after my turn. We pump all of this shit into Celestine and kill one of her little dudes and put her down to 2 wounds, which is crazy. She can get like a 4-up Feel No Pain. It's nasty. We end up charging the Rampagers, killing all these guys very easily with CP. We have another unit of 3 Rampagers. There's a unit of Sacrosancts in this Rhino just to tie it up, tag it. We've got a Ghost Keel over down here on this flank. And then we do end up killing 2 suits from Morven Val's unit. It was really sad to watch, to be honest. I gave him 2 AP1s with cover for 2 damage, 2 missile drone shots. He rolled double 1s, CP rerolled into another 1. Yeah, it was not good. It's not good. It was hard to watch. So from here, I'm feeling pretty good. Like, again, I am going second here, so like, and Madge made a really aggressive line. Like, I think this play was really strong. He ended up picking up 2 really good resources of mine, plus the Vespid, but I think the charge was a little bit greedy. I don't think he had to do that. Obviously, for this to go completely awry for him, I have to roll that 5-up with Shadowsun to get the CP back, to then make that extra move this way, and basically get a free charge on the Sacrosanct. So, like, he basically hit the variance of, like, whoops, you just lost the game on the spot, and I don't think he realized like what he was walking into, and I didn't realize what was really happening until I had the opportunity right in front of me and said, okay, yeah, I'm definitely heroic in this unit, and then getting the 5-up and the CP back was just hook, line, and sinker. Pretty nasty. Awesome. And then we basically skip a turn here, but Madge doesn't pick up a ton of my resources back. This Castigator comes out to shoot, I believe, a bunch of Pathfinders, and I end up bringing down Rapid Ingress, this unit of Rampagers here, to solve this problem. So he did have 10 Sacrosancts over here, but and this was like a big moment, a decision point for me in this game, was do I Rapid Ingress the 6 Rampagers in this corner, or do I Rapid Ingress them over here to deal with the Sacrosancts? So the reason I went over here was because this Celestine unit with the 2 chicks was going to kill like everything in this corner, or at least all the infantry by herself, and probably deny me primary a couple times, because it can stand back up, she'll revive with one of the Gemini, she'll get her 4-up Feel No Pain back. Basically, I have to take 2 full turns to kill that unit, so the quickest I could have killed them was turn 4 if I didn't bring the Rampagers down, but bringing the Rampagers here guarantees that I basically hold this objective forever, while he gets to hold this objective, which is something I'm totally fine with. Versus if I rapid ingressed over here, there were 3 Rampagers sitting on this objective, so what he could do is charge back this way with the Sacrosanct, and then I'm really far from the Sacrosanct unit. I'm probably like 13 inches. He's standing on just this objective, so basically I went from like my thought process was I'm going to go for the more consistent play here because I'm ahead. And the more consistent play is I know that these guys are going to help me clear Celestine and the Sacrosanct, or Celestine and her Gemini, and guarantee I hold this for the rest of the game immediately, versus giving my opponent some agency to potentially deny me being able to use the Rampager unit at all on this side of the table. So I elected to go with this unit, which ended up working out really well for me. And then again, we just put a freaking broadside right on this objective and just say like, okay, cool. You're not going to get your miracle dice. From this point forward, we're basically just stepping units on objectives and killing stuff and doing our secondaries. So it was a pretty straightforward game from there. Nothing crazy happened other than like Morvenn Vahl did kill a couple things by herself at the end of the game, and we did lose a little bit more units than we should have. But all things considered, again, it was basically came down to that first play where I was able to kill a bunch of Sacrosants for free. Otherwise, I would have to probably gamble on pretty long charges with Rampagers into those units. They would probably just take over the game. So that was kind of game for that point. So last game of the day, this is into Damien. So Damien, what an absolute G. This guy was so much fun to play. Was just an absolute legend. Really enjoyed our game, Damien, if you're watching this. It was a ton of fun. He's on Team Pro Tabletop, does mostly team stuff. So I remember looking across from the table at Damien and saying, "Hey, Damien, why am I getting this weird feeling that you're a turn 1 walk kind of guy?" Because he had this unit. Let's see. Whoops. Oh boy. Yeah. Spoilers. So what he had in his list, a big wrinkle, was he had Gaz with a Weird Boy. So what a Weird Boy can do is it can teleport in the movement phase and then elect to go for a charge. There's also a Strat and Warlord that gives you +2 to charge. So basically, as long as he rolls a 2-up, he can go for a 7-inch rerollable charge. Turn 1 with the big 20-man brick. He's got Zodgrod and the gang for the big scout move, and then advanced charge turn 1, -1 to hit and wound. He's got this unit of Bikers with the War Boss that moves, it auto advances 6, so I want to say it moves 18 and then charges. So I think I made a pretty big mistake here in deployment, which is I reserved my 6 Rampagers, 6 of my 15 Rampagers, which I think was a huge mistake. I really needed those guys to dig me out of the hole early on of me getting shoved early. And I think if I did, I might actually have won this game. But I elected not to. Just almost as like a default, I get to round 6 of a tournament. Every round I've been reserving 1 6-man Rampager, 1 broadside, and I just kind of shut my brain off and was like, all right, we're doing that this game too. It's round 6. I'm tired. We're just going to do the game plan that we've been doing. So in this case, this was the wrong move. I should have looked across from the table, realized what was happening, which I did. Like, I was halfway there. I sort of realized, like, okay, this list seems really geared towards going first and whying really early and putting as much pressure on me as possible, jailing me. So I kind of saw it coming, but I just didn't put 2 and 2 together to say, like, okay, I actually need 6 more Rampagers here to, like, help clear out some of this trash so that I can get on objectives. So I'll show you, this is the after picture, but, like, how crazy is this? Well, here we go. This is the after picture of his turn 1. One thing we also talked about was I put 2 go skills here. There just did not need to be 2 go skills there. I think one of them should have been here to block this charge off. But yeah, as you can see, like, his whole army used to be here, and now it's all up here. So this is the moment where I was like, oh wait, is this game just over right now? And yeah, I was right. This game was just over. So we still, like, did our best to dig out of this, and there were some cool plays that we made. But long story short, I needed 6 Rampagers to be, like, right here, in this spot, to charge these guys or charge the biker unit, because this biker unit, spoiler alert, ends up on my home field objective. There's not a ton I can do about it after it just kind of mows through this stuff, which is a little unfortunate. But as you can see, he charges these commandos in. So I do heroic. He fails the 7-inch with the Gazbrick. He fails the 7-inch rerollable, which is, like, absolutely massive. It's the only reason this game is, like, a complete blowout. is because this unit didn't make its charge. If it did, I think it just would have conceded probably like turn 2, to be honest with you. So we do get a heroic here. We end up killing all these commandos on the heroic. He just charges the Kroot with the Grots. They kill the Kroot, but he also piles into the Rampagers. And I think between like the Rampagers, the Riptide, and the Broadside, I want to say I kill like 14 of them or something crazy. I killed basically the whole Zod unit, or like 2/3 of it, just swinging with the Rampagers. We take out the whole commando unit. So we actually have a pretty good line here to clear this unit completely, or at least most of it, sans Gaz and Makari. What else? We just basically stay in combat. We shoot stuff. We elect to like let these guys live because there's nothing I can do about it. I just gotta kill the stuff that's in my face. Move on with my life. So that's what we do. We charge in. We kill everything that's not Gaz and the Weird Boy, which is awesome. Deny this point, but again, he's just getting the 15 already. Because he has 2 units of tank buses. And the units of tank buses are really what does it for me at the end of the game, is there's not much I could do to interact with them. One really dumb thing that I did here also was I charged the Skyray into Gaz. I don't know why I did that. It was like super unnecessary. I just wanted to like pin him and be like, okay, you can only fight with Gaz in this unit. I think I was scared about a fight on death, 2 CP fight on death. But I don't think it would have mattered because he's flat 4 damage. He probably kills like 3 Rampagers by himself, but all I need is like 2 or 3 to live to deny the point, which again didn't matter because he was already scoring 15 on primary, so I probably should have just kept that resource alive. It would have been really helpful to deal with like with all these guys, the following turn, which is what ends up happening. He hits me with the second wave, and we end up rapiding another unit of Rampagers over here. He puts a unit of Gretchen, so we just send another unit of Rampagers this way. We move block the Bikers over here with this Broadside. We end up getting, what did we get? Storm. No, engage. Oh, secure and area denial. No, I think we had to engage him behind is what we had this turn. So we were pulling some not great secondaries also. What else happens from here? From here, it's like a pretty straightforward game. I'm just like way too far behind to get back in this game. He's already scored a shitload of points, and he continues to get 10s on primary because I can't really interact with this objective. He could just eventually, I think he just puts a truck there and just says, "Okay, you can't do anything about this," which is true. Because I was just completely spent out of resources. And this is towards the end of the game. I do end up scoring some points towards the end, but again, he ends up denying my primary on my home with that Warbiker dude, mostly because I didn't put this Riptide. I should have moved him over so that I got a line on more of the unit. I killed too many with this Broadside so that the Riptide couldn't activate, meaning that he got to survive with that War Boss and then eventually get to my home objective, which denied me 5 points, but all in all, I think Damien played it really well. I just made an error in deployment, and yeah, I could have done better there. Like, as you can see, also one thing you might notice is like my secondary scoring wasn't super great, so that's something that I need to focus on. Is just like taking a minute before I take my turn, look at my secondaries, incorporate them in my game plan, because usually going into turns I have a game plan in my head, but secondaries aren't a part of that until it switches to my turn. So I need to do a better job of like identifying, combining those two thoughts, my strategy going into the turn and what my secondaries are, to score points, as we're, obviously we're playing a points game here more than anything. So anyway, great tournament, great opponents. It was a lot of fun. That's going to do it for today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Want to give a shout out to our channel's patrons. Really couldn't do this stuff without you. So thank you for all for the support. I really appreciate it. But that's going to do it for the video, guys. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.